Hello YouTube viewers, this is Heliok here. Today we're going to talk about do it yourself network attached storage. This guide is specifically focused on advancement happened in the recent years. So this guide will be up for 2015. So in this tutorial, I'm gonna go step by step how you're supposed to, configure out your NAS. And you might be like, hey, why not just buy it? Well, you can buy it, but do it yourself first would be a learning experience. Second, you will customize exactly what you want to customize, not, like, okay, I want 5 hard drives and I want a quad link aggregation. You might not get it. So, it's exactly the way you want it to. And always this tutorial is specifically focused from home user to business end. I cannot go into enterprise grade yet. So this one I will give you a thorough understanding of every aspect of RAID and NAS, that you can build your own system and it will be scalable up to a business level, not enterprise, business level. Enterprise don't even use hard drives, normal hard drives, that is. They don't use SATA hard drives, they use SCSI hard drives, which is completely different matter. So we should get started then. So first thing first, you have to figure out a case. So you have three options. First is do it yourself. The image that I am showing is of Black Dwarf NAS, and you must check this guy works out. He made two-part video series, and one part he makes the case, second part he finishes the case and does the electronics. It's around 16 minutes long, and trust me, it's worth it. It will be inspiring to see. Like, it's like, whoa, it's epic. Watch it. And why do you want to do that? Well, I told you, learning experience. Second, the size is up to you. Like, you will get exactly what you want, and not to mention it will be a cool art piece. So there's that. Now, second option I have is rack mount. Now, the four you see next to you is like unit size. So one U would be too slim, and the fan in it would be very small. So it would be very loud, as like literally it would be ear hurting loud. So always use 4U, minimum 3U. Don't go to 2U and 1U. So why do you want to consider rack mount? Well, rack mount has scalability. Um, what will that mean? Well, simply, let's say if you are using a big NAS unit, let's say it has 20 to 30 hard drives, most likely you have a lot of people that is using it, and you can also build your own custom router. So if you have a router, if you have a switch, and if you have a NAS, if all three could be if can be placed into one structure, generally known as server case, that's why rack mounting will be a better option there. It will be like neatly packed, and if your office is supposed to be moved or small business or whatever, all you have to do is just unplug the wire and everything would be in one box, one server box, and you can just move it around. And it also, like, literally you can just pack another. It's very nice way of management, and you can put this entire box into one air conditioned room where you can keep it cool, and you don't have to worry about the noise and everything like that. So it's a very good business option to have that, and you don't have to worry about it. It's not that it requires you to have a rack mount. So you can, yeah, these unit can work standalone. All you have to make sure is their power is connected. That's it, nothing fancy about it. So this is an option that is well suited for medium to higher end business side, and this has quite a lot of scalability. So if you are thinking ahead, yeah, you want to plan ahead, this would be a good option. Now, the last option we have is NAS PC cases. There are a lot of one. This one that I'm showing you is Silverstone DS380. It's a recent case, and LinusTechTips did a build in this, and this case is surprisingly good. And why you want to do that? Well, it's easy. You just buy the case, you plug in the hard drive, everything else, and it's just easy. So let's go over all this again. One will give you custom whatever you want. Another will give you scalability, as you can put another units, as you can put another switch, custom routers and stuff like that. The third one is the easiest and very suitable for first time beginners kind of thing, just getting started. So let's move on. Then we have power supply unit. Now here's the deal. Warranty matters. What I mean by that is, like, let's say you have a power supply that only comes with a warranty of 1 year. That flat out means that manufacturer itself does not have too much confidence in the hardware, and NAS units are supposed to be running almost like a server 24/7. So this is where, like, if you have a faulty lower grade power supply unit, it's not gonna last very long. The one that I'm showing you, Corsair AX760i, that's has a 7-year warranty. Yes, Corsair AX series comes with 7-year warranty. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna last at least 5 years. And this I means it's interactive, so you can connect it to your PC and you can monitor things like that. So that's also a good feature. And so pay attention to the warranty. So do not go and buy a cheap power supply unit that has like warranty of 1 year. It should have at least 3 years, at least. I mean, like, don't go lower than that. And if you're going to use a rack mounted system, they have their own power supply sizes, and they're all validated for industrial use, so you don't have to worry about that in there. Then second part is efficiency matters. As you can see, all of you must be aware of around 80 plus rating. So there are this many rating: bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and titanium. Titanium will only work in 220 volts. It doesn't mean dual phase current. It means like anywhere else other than USA, we generally have 220 volts running around. So 220 volts, higher voltage means lower ampere means less heat loss. So that is very high. I've seen only one power supply that offers that in 120 volt range. So that matters. Like you are talking about something that is running for hours and hours, even days, sometimes even weeks without shutting down. So heat buildup is a thing. Like cooling fan is one thing, but heat will build up over time. So this efficiency matters there, and not to mention the money saving you will have. So spending a lot of money on a power supply that is this expensive and fancy will save you money over time. It will give you reliability, and 80 plus higher ratings are there. They generally go through a much harder quality control. So this is also a good validation point. So let's move on. Now we have the motherboard. Now here's the deal: flat out of the box, do not buy a gaming motherboard under any and all circumstances. Avoid gaming motherboards. They are not meant for reliability. They are meant for performance. They are like very fast F1 cars. But if you actually understand F1, they don't last very long. After every season, they have to throw out the engine block. So don't go for that. You have two options. First, you have server motherboards, as you can see, ASRock series 1, and then you have workstation. Workstation might be a bit overkill, but if you, let's say, you are going on rack mounted unit and you want to have enough scalability, like you can see as this one that I'm featuring here, Asus one, has a lot of RAM ports and lot of PCI Express. You might be asking, why would I need that kind of PCI Express? Well, you can put hard drives require RAID array or network card. Network card will allow you to get better connectivity, and RAID card will allow you to have more hard drives. Basically, there is a very good company that does this. Is known as 45U, 45 Drive. So you can check that out. They also have like two RAID cards that does 45 drives. Basically each one does around 20 plus hard drives, and then they have another PCI Express lane just laying around, so you can put a 10 gigabyte per second Ethernet card there. So expandability wise, it's a good option to go with a workstation motherboard. And you will be surprised, they don't actually sell the idea that it's very modern friendly. As you can see, that it does not even have a LCD in it. It's like it's meant to be like you pack the shit in somewhere and you forgot about it. It's simple. It's like it's meant to run 24 into 7. And you can see it's not very fancy. It doesn't have LCDs. It does not have like red green color schemes and all that. It's just meant to work, and it's meant to work for a long time. So PCI Express is your one point concern. Like you have to be careful about it. Second, you have to have RAM capacity. So you might get some small boards that only have two RAM slots. Make sure they support 64 GB or not. So you have to be careful about it. It's not like you found two and you thought, okay, I can put 64 GB. Then you realize the maximum supported DIMM is only 16 GB. So that would be a letdown. So make sure you check RAM capacity. Second, power consumption wise, workstation board actually broadcast this ability that they are efficient, and server board, well, they are meant to be efficient, so you don't have to worry about that. And fourth and last point, ECC support. What ECC stands for is error code correction. Error correction code, well, it's a RAM feature. So every time, when you have a lot amount of RAM that you are addressing, there is some, like, it's physics, things gonna happen, like because of resistance, because of interference or anything, like some bit of data is gonna miss. It's not like megabytes of data is being lost, but one few bit. So let's say, in 1 byte you have 8 bits, 1 bit might be missing. So this error code correction is like informs the processor, dude, this is missing, so it doesn't freak out and give you blue screen. And if you have ECC RAM supported, ECC, if you have proper ECC, your reliability goes much higher. Like, you can't even believe, like, it's blue screen almost disappears if you have a proper ECC RAM. And I'm like talking about blue screen that are caused by RAM, not blue screen that are caused by graphics or a faulty driver, but it takes care of the RAM. So that these are the 4 points that you have to pay attention to while you are buying for a motherboard. Let's move on. Processor. First point, it has to be a server processor. It cannot be a gaming processor. It cannot be modern processor. Things like unlocked multiplier, overclocking friendly, and all that. No, it has to be a proper server grade processor. They are not very expensive. Surprisingly, they are even cheap. Like, as you can see, Atom, Xenon, and what the heck is that? Itanium, things like that. AMD also makes it. Uh, First thing, like, don't buy I series. It's not meant for server kind of use. So don't buy I series and FX series in AMD side. Second, no overclocking. Overclocking reduces something known as mean time between failures. So even if you, like, doing mild overclocking, there is a reason why overclocking voids your warranty. And that's also a point when you have a business running on it and your some parts go down, and you really, it's not very advisable to buy new parts every time it goes down. So warranty matters in that kind of scenario. You might want to consider, you really shouldn't overclock it. Even server don't overclock that. There's a reason. Mean time between failures would be, like, let's say 1 million hours before it fails. Like, in best case scenario, it will become like 5,000 hours. So it drops dramatically. There is a reason why overclocking is voids your warranty. So do not overclock. Cooling matters. You can't be like, okay, these are server processors are actually power efficient. They are more power efficient than same counterpart in I series or FX series, but they still requires cooling. They can operate at much higher temperature. If you read in the box, it will say suitable till 60 degrees Celsius. Doesn't mean that you have to keep it at 60 degrees Celsius. It's like, if things get hot, it won't die instantly. So, but cooling matters. Second, ECC support. Now your motherboard has to support it, and your processor. Nowadays most processors support it, so, but still it's a good idea to pay attention, because some of the Atom processor does not support it. So ECC is like a thorough. If let's say your RAM is supported, your motherboard is supported, but processor is just neglecting the information that it is receiving, it's not gonna be any use. So these are the 4 points: server processor, no overclocking, good cooling, and ECC support. Let's move on. Now we talked about RAM. Of course, it has to be ECC RAM, and you have to go for a lot of RAM. Like, people might show you, like, 4 GB, 8 GB is enough, but depending on OS, whatever OS you are using, if you are using Windows OS, go for higher RAM. And if you are using FreeNAS, in FreeNAS it's flat out said in the manual of FreeNAS that for every terabyte of raw storage, not, after redundancy and all that, for every terabyte of raw storage you have to have 1 GB of RAM. So you need a lot of RAM. Second, you need server RAM. Basically, server RAM first of all comes with ECC. Second, server RAMs are validated for much higher operating temperature, and much, they are much more reliable. Basically, again, no overclocking under any and all circumstances. Do not overclock it. When you buy server grade RAM, you will find out that megahertz are not very high. They might be, like, as low as 1600, but it doesn't matter. In server environment, it doesn't matter. There is one other factor that you might hear in the server: buffered and unbuffered. Basically, normal PC always use unbuffered. Buffer is a very expensive system. It requires the same thing like ECC. Your processor has to support it, your motherboard has to support it. So buffered RAM, most likely you're not gonna use. It's very expensive, and it does increase reliability. It does increase, like, as you can see the upper image that I have, those are buffered RAM, fully buffered RAM. They are very expensive, and they have a central processing, and they have a different channel for read and different channel for write. So, and you can expand it to, like, very huge device. So uh, just as a reminder, if you, like, accidentally end up buying fully buffered RAM, it's not gonna work with your normal motherboard, even if it says like DDR3 compatible and all that. So pay attention on that. Now, boot drive. Flat out of the box, you cannot use hard disk drive because server OS like kinds of operates so so long that it is gonna burn out. Like people have reported that the hard drives have been dying for 2-3 months. Like good quality, like proper good quality hard drives are dying in like 4-5 months because it's been using so much of it. Like and FreeNAS try to combat it by using basically pen drive to run your OS. Something is about mechanical hard drive that doesn't last very long. So no mechanical hard drive. Choose reliability over speed. That's why I will go with Intel is a better idea in this scenario. And Kingston also makes some reliability based one. So don't go for high speed. It doesn't matter, but reliability matters. So SSD that has the longest warranty period will be a good option. Size should be around 120, so don't you can go as low as 40. You still don't have to worry about it unless you are using it as a scratch disk or something known as log drive. These functions are available in FreeNAS. So when you have FreeNAS, it will give you an option that do you want to make it as a cache, do you want to make it as a log server. Basically it will create a log, so whenever your hard drive dies, this log will speed up the process of rebuilding the entire array. So 120 GB is enough. Having too much of it's not gonna benefit. So choose reliability over speed, and size, be cautious about it. Just don't go 480 GB and things like that. Now we get into nitty-gritty parts. RAID cards. They're equivalent of a graphics card basically in this industry. They have their own RAM sizes, bigger the better as usual. And please buy a card that at least supports 8 drive options. Now both I'm showing they support around 16 hard drives, and you might say, hey, there is not enough ports on it. Well, because they are using custom ports, they will have a SAS port that will go into your RAID card, and then it will break out into SAS ports. SAS is backwards compatible. That means SAS can support SATA hard drives. So SAS is a proper enterprise grade shit. It's not normal. So you don't have to worry about it. If your RAID card supports SAS, that means it has to support SATA. So you don't have to worry about it. And you please check in the fine details. You might end up finding some older RAID card that does not support 6 TB hard disk drive, and 6 TB is the biggest drive size available. So you might want to be cautious about it. And some RAID card, as you can see here, there are some pins in the RAID. These pins are for LED indication. So if you do your research right, you can configure this to properly indicate, like as you see, like in Drobo and things like Drobo and Synology, they have like a light in every hard disk tray that indicates if light goes red, that means the hard drive died. It's similar to that. So you do have to do a bit of manual searching for this, but it's there. And high-end ones also give you option of SSD caching. It will improve your write speed, and it will read speeds are not an issue in RAID, but write speeds are. So SSD caching is a good point. And battery support, it's a good option to have. Why you want to have battery support? Well, RAID, because it takes time to write. Let's say one of your user given a command to write something, and because it's like 5-6 hard drives are working at the same time, it will take longer, and it might show because of the RAM on the board, it show that like writing has been done, but it's actually still doing the process in the background. For that, if power goes down in that time, battery helps. And those one who comes with integrated, like this Intel one, this is the actual SSD. So the battery has to be long enough. Battery is not that expensive, like $30-40, and it will just allow you to dump the data to SSD to just safekeeping, like you won't lose when you next time start your system. So that's a good option. So let's move on. Now we get into the nitty-gritty stuff, the storage. Flat out of the box, do not use any hard drive that is meant for power saving, like green drives, Seagate drives. Seagate Barracuda sucks, flat out. I'm telling you, like Seagate Barracuda sucks. And I will post a link about that. And these folks that I'm referring to are from Blackbase, that's a tongue twister name. Blackbase online storage system. So they have tested this hard drives for years, so they know their stuff. And flat out of the box, the Seagate Barracuda died the most often. So first of all, it was not meant for a NAS specific. It was not meant for NAS specific. Western Digital started this, making it NAS specific. So you have to make sure it has to be NAS specific. Why do you want a NAS specific? First of all, it's like because each hard drive is so close to each other, like in a server array or in a NAS, that the vibration starts to travel. And if the motor is not good enough, not reliable enough, it will start to wobble a bit, and that's not a good thing. That will damage your hard drive. So and second of all, if your hard drive is running for, let's say, 24/7, after 6 months, a normal cheap hard drive will end up the bearings will end up losing its oil, and it will kind of flat out die, and you have to just let it cool down for few hours, and the oil will seep back again and it will start working. It's very frustrating. So that's why NAS hard drives are actually tested for this, always on testing. Now, Seagate do have some pretty kick-ass hard drives, but it's only available in enterprise capacity that you have to check. And they do also give you one option that if your hard drive dies, you can give them. They will take care of the shipping charges, and they will make sure they will try to recover as much data as possible. 90% reliability, they say. So storage, that you have to make sure it has to be a NAS hard drive. It has to be a proper non-power saving one, and that's the two main factor here. Now, a lot of you might have heard about rebuilding times, how long it takes, when your one hard drive dies in a RAID array, how long it's going to take. It's not dependent on the size. Get that in your head. It's not dependent on the size. You have 1 TB, if it's full, and you have a blank 6 TB, blank 6 TB will be done instantly. It's not meant on the hard drive capacity, it's meant on the data in it. So if you have a hard drive that is big, you don't have to worry about it's going to take very long. So it's directly proportional to how much data per hard drive it has. So there is that. Let's move on. Now we talk about the actual part of why it's called network attached storage rather than direct attached storage. Like you can use USB 3.0, you can use eSATA, you can use Thunderbolt and all things like that. You have first primary option you have is link aggregation. What it simply does is takes 4 normal Ethernet ports, that's 1 gigabit per second ports, and combine them into something known as link aggregation or teaming. What it does is gives you basically it's adding more lane. It adds 4 lane, and if your switch supports it, that you have to make sure your switch supports link aggregation. If it doesn't support, still you can use it, but it won't be any beneficial. Then you can be like if you have like 4 switches, you can connect each of the ports to one switch. So that way you can get reliability, but you have to make sure that it supports link aggregation to actually getting quad gigabit. That means around 400 Mbps connection to your switch. Then every user will be limited by its own connection, that would be around relatively 100 Mbps. So let's say your RAID array is very fast, but if you use directly one wire to run everything, it's capped. So let's say 5-6 people started doing even small loads like that is only consuming 30-50 Mbps, it's gonna end up bottlenecked. So that's why people use link aggregation. Second option you have is called 10 gigabit per second connection. Now that's why I'm saying choose wisely. 10 gigabyte per second, that might sound cool enough, and that translates to around 1.2 gigabyte per second. But you have to be very careful with this. First of all, half of the card does not even support RJ45 port, that simple cable that you see in your LAN port. They have their own custom connectors, so you have to be very careful of that. Second, your switch actually has to support it. Even if you, let's say, have a switch and if you figured out a card that supports normal LAN wire cannot be Cat 5. Cat 5 simply says category 5. It has to be category 7. The cable is very expensive. And one thing you have to be very careful about this is the moment your cable is detected to be of lower quality, the card will scale back. Now it won't scale back to 10 Mbps to 8 Mbps or things like that. It directly goes down by 10, a factor of 10. So 10 gigabyte connection will turn into 1 gigabyte connection. So that's why, unless you are very certain like your switch supports it, you have a RAID array that can actually saturate it. That's the point. Like if your RAID array is like maximum read write is only 400, so a link this quad link would be a better option. If your RAID array has like 1 gigabyte read write capacity, yeah, then go for that. So choose wisely. Let's move along. Now we get into this OS. So you have 3 major options. First, Linux. It's tested, like it's actually used in many high-end business to actually enterprise grade. They are tested. Like Linux also have a lot of distribution that is specifically focused on servers. Now, why do you want to do that? Well, normal OS have a lot of basically potholes. That's what I say, where it leaks data. So after, if you kept it running for 2-3 days, it will end up crashing because of so much data errors happen. And that's why this Linux by default will, even the base OS will last very long because it's so simple, but server one is actually tested and it's very good. So that is one option that you will get. Either use Linux. Second, you have Windows Server System. Do not under any and all circumstances use Windows XP or Windows 8 or things like that. They are meant for PC use, so let them at PC use. I can't go into nitty gritty, but they will crash the moment you keep them running for 7 to 8 days, and in a month, yeah, most likely they're gonna end up dead. So use a server operating system. Now, why you wanna use Windows Server? It's expensive, you have to pay for it, and if you are in business, you really have to pay for it. You really don't want somebody coming in and realizing that you are using fake one, and it will be very expensive and embarrassing. So make sure that you actually get a one that but benefit you of doing this way, going Windows route, is that you can have antivirus. You can have multiple antivirus if you invest in a good motherboard and processor. You can have multiple antivirus, multiple malware running parallelly. Malware and antivirus can run parallelly, but you can have to have periodic checks, like your primary antivirus is always on, and your secondary antivirus kicks in at night when NAS is not used that much. So you have that benefit, but it comes with its own side effect. If a virus is very new and antivirus does not have a cure for it, it will take down your NAS. This won't happen with Linux, this won't happen with free NAS. That you have to be careful. So you do get some security, but that itself becomes a vulnerability. So you have to be very careful. These waters are not easy to trade around, and they do give you 24 into customer support. And these supports guys, they know their stuff. They are not like I'm not sorry sir, restart or things like that. They know their stuff, and they can help you with configuring high level things like link aggregation and rate setup and everything like that. They can help you with this. Now, this third option is kind of new, but it's been around for 4 or 5 years, so it's getting some serious traction. Free NAS. What it is, it's like a free BDS OS, that is a free OS like Linux. Few guys got together, and one guy started to make it into a NAS. Then he realized like a lot of people are asking for it. He compiled everything and then gave it out, and now a community of modders are improving it. Like basically, it's a blender of server OS. So it's very good. It also has some advantages that other OS cannot give you. Like let's say if you have multiple controllers in the server board that I showed you, there is 3 controller that gives you SATA ports. That's a problem. RAID cannot work in multiple controller. It has to have one controller. And if you want to have another one, it has to be identical controller. Then only RAID will work. So if you're let's say, that's why you have to check instruction manuals. Dude, you have to read instruction manual. If your data is like precious, you have to read instruction manual. These teeny tiny things are the reason why people lose their files and data. So free NAS is a good option, and free NAS is so kind of new, and it's very hard to take it down. Like free NAS literally runs off a pen drive. You can literally run it from your pen. Then you're like, dude, I need a pen drive, high quality pen. No, you don't need, because it's only reads in, and every time you start the system, it will read the file, put that file into RAM, and then let's say you did not shut it down for 10-20 days, it is just one read. So you don't have to worry about it. Get a decent company one, and you don't even need a big size one. 2 GB is more than enough. Yes, I said it. 2 GB is more than enough in 2015. I have no idea where the heck you're gonna find that kind of pen drive, but you get the point. And you can have higher size. It's very easy, and when you see the interface, it will like kind of tempting. It's all like a command prompt kind of thing, but it's not. It's very easy. On the contrary, Windows Server is very hard. Like every feature is like so buried in that you have to actually go there. And Linux, whoa, that shit ain't for beginners or noob. So free NAS is a good option. Free NAS is. So thank you for watching. Hope you guys liked it or learned from it. In that case, please like. If you dislike it, dislike and comment, and please subscribe. Thank you.